Good morning, brothers and sisters. Welcome back to the Church of Doom. It is I, Landon Father Doom. Landon Father Doom Gus, that's my name. And today, you know what we're doing. We're continuing our prep of the Retched Tropics. The zine that'll be going up on the church's Patreon this month. It'll go up for sale on DriveThruRPG, and it'll probably be my next Kickstarter. Oh, I forgot to mute myself. What a noob. There we go, muted. But yeah, we have been brainstorming this for like 2 weeks so far. I've done 5 live streams. This is the 6th, yeah. And just coming up with cool ideas for this sulfuric, acid-fogged jungle where dinosaurs and forgotten heavenly sky ship port have been overtaken by the jungle. And it's been pretty freaking sweet. I wanted to show you here while we'll let some folks kind of trickle in. What's up, Lord Lost, by the way? I see you in the chat. Good to see you. I'm ready to brainstorm as well. What's up, Samuel? Good morning. I got some new pages finished up and published. You guys have already seen the Ruptured Hive. Wait, am I showing? Yeah, I'm showing this. So Ruptured Hive, I want to go back and do a little extra work on this one. It's a little lackluster. Maybe the hive needs to be bigger and a little closer, but a new one. Here's the Retched Quagmire. I thought this one came out really good. So it was like just a picture of some sulfur bog that I layered tons and tons and tons of different plant, like trees and jungle vegetation and like weird alien plant concept art and fogs and mist. Just put it all together to make this really nasty looking jungle bog. Thought that one was sick. Then don't have the Scalding Spire done. Oh, here's the Violet Port. This one was one of my favorites that I did. So you can see if you look at the actual like architecture, the city, as we've described it, of the old Violet Port was this big bamboo scaffolded city, kind of had a bunch of really tall towers. And when the Great Pilgrimage happened and the world fell into chaos, the earthquakes and things that shook this land from the stars that fell down and created the bombarded garden kind of caused the city to collapse in on itself. So I just found as many little PNGs as I possibly could of wood huts and scaffolded buildings and things like that. And by the time I stacked them all together, I feel like it totally looked like a big mound where a city had once been. And then I just layered in some cool, weird-looking mushroom PNGs that I liked how droopy some of them were, too, especially this one right here. I guess all 3 of these are droopy, but that one that looks like it's coming up out of the middle of that big, broken, collapsed section is really sick. And I like this frumpy dude sitting on the top of the tower over here, just kind of spilling over the sides. I feel like that fits the Violet Port really well. This vibe of a druidic city that is under the control of some giant fungal parasite thing. Then the Blood Writhe came out really good. This one was super simple. It was basically just 2 different PNGs that were layered over. One of them was a cool picture of like just a jungle tunnel, basically like a photograph of this trail in a jungle that I color filtered to that pink color because the whole jungle is like vampiric, right? Layered in an image of some swarms of bats that I color filtered to make them pop off of it, and add some mists. I really, really dig this one. It feels like you're walking. If you were to walk down this trail in the Blood Writhe, you'd be like stepping into the veins of this jungle. Like you're literally walking through the arteries, which is so sick. So sick. I saw a couple names pop up, by the way. What's up, Kenneth? No, Kenneth, you didn't miss the session. Well, first, I think you messaged me after 9 a.m. had already passed, but I messaged you over on Discord and start playing, so you should go check that. But we didn't have enough people to start it yet, so the campaign that you joined wasn't even active yet. So, but I've messaged you. Go check those messages, my man. You're all good. Good morning, Mark. Good to see you. Good to see you. I'm glad you like these, dude. Yeah, I think I've got like one more to show off, and then we're gonna jump into the brainstorming. We're gonna do Facepocker's Lair, the sulfur volcano lair of a black dragon, and then we're gonna do the Hex 11, which we had just brainstormed the idea for last time, of that mountain range that the rains never stop here, and the belief is that the gods are just weeping for this land and that it's their tears. So we'll get to that one here in a minute. And then yeah, okay, caught up on the chat. Just want to say hi to those folks. There was one more that I did. Oh, the Tangled Horns. Yeah, this one was cool too. So this is the mountain range of all the big limestone spires that kind of look like different horns and bones of dinosaurs poking up out of the earth. but they're all connected by these huge, big King Kong style vine bridges so that things can cross them, so you can, you know, traverse it on foot, and you kind of move from micro jungle to micro jungle to micro jungle, because that's what grows at the tops of all these different spires, and then at the bottom of it are rivers of sulfuric gas or chasms down into the deep realm. But I liked the big giant roots that I added here, kind of growing off in the distance. I feel like it just gives it a really fantastical scale, makes everything look, you know, like a real true fantasy world. And then this pterodactyl kind of swooping around, I feel like also adds to that sense of scale and depth and how deep this thing must really be. So I was really, really psyched about all that new art that I did. Oh, also, I published just a random PDF to the Patreon of a monster generator, and I used the tables to just come up with this idea for a monster. So this was, let's see, there's a strange monster nearby that appears as, oh, the sticky one. It was a slithering mass of pulsating barb-filled suckers. So, of course, I just pulled a PNG of a giant squid. And then it hunts with telekinesis. The dozens of rusty weapons that orbit its body also serves as a defensive shield. So sort of an aboleth kind of vibe going on here with this weird suction cup giant squid thing that can use its mind to pick up all of the weapons that have sunken down at the bottom of the ocean, and they just spin around this thing. So it can just move forward into your players and just cut them up with these whatever swords or pirate hatches it's kind of gathered. Or maybe it like can use them as, what's that spell? Blink? Right? Where it's got like duplicates, but instead of being a duplicate, it's like you're just hitting one of the things that's orbiting it. That'd be a cool ability for a monster. And then it longs to, I think this one, it was hard to kind of personify this, but so really any of these could work, but I think I might have been thinking like terrify, bring mortals' deepest pains, fears, and nightmares to life through its own sadistic actions. Anyways, I just wanted to show off some art and the things that recently got published to the Patreon. And if you're a member of the missionaries here on the YouTube channel, then I just posted shortly before I went live a link where you can go download all of this stuff. So appreciate you all supporting me and being a part of this and helping me brainstorm the Retched Tropics. It's coming along very nicely. Oh, are those dagger mouths? Mark asks. I think I saw you post that. Where did you reference that? Because, oh, maybe you were talking about the mushrooms, I'm guessing. I actually don't know the specific kind that they were. They might be. I have no idea, though. Oh, yeah, Lord Lost. I can't wait for tomorrow either, dude. I'm excited to have you join in the campaign. Your character's pretty sick. So, it'll be a damn good time. But yeah, folks, let's jump into this. I'm kind of feeling like I want to do the Pox Mountain second, because it's obviously the cooler one. So I feel like we could just bang out this Weeping Mountain range. I don't even know what to call it yet. The name will come to us later, but for now I'll just call it the Weeping Mountains. Still actually kind of a cool name. Whoa, why is everything offset? Oh, there we go. Okay, folks. So if you need to get caught up on lore of this location or anything like that, it's down in the description. You can go check that out. But let's get going. Let's get brainstorming ideas for this mountain range where rains never cease to fall, and it is said they are the tears of this region's ancient gods who weep for its demise. And if we look at our map, so that hex number 6, I still haven't updated the map, sue me. That hex is what we're working on. So to the northeast, you've got that human settlement of the Citadel of Ivory, the village of like alabaster knights, the ones who will go out into the jungle and hunt giant dinosaurs to collect their horns to build their towns or their homes and their weapons. Northwest, we've got the Retched Quagmire. To the southwest, we've got the Pox Mountain. And directly to the south, we've got the Tangled Ivory that I just showed some of the art for. So, ideas for this place. I'm imagining things that are jumping to mind already are just tons and tons and tons of waterfalls. Obviously, if gods weep here and water's always flowing down, then I'm picturing like Hawaii islands where they just like a waterfall will just jut out of nowhere and just fall for hundreds and hundreds of feet. And they probably come down from like sacred pools or ponds or something like that. But we'll start with how do we make the waterfalls cool? Maybe we'll just describe it as waterfalls pour. That can't be pour, is that right? Why does that look so weird to me right now? Maybe it's fine. Waterfalls pour down every facing of every mountain, making an ascent a deadly task. I don't know. kind of we're warming up. We're warming up here, right? But I'm imagining if you need to climb up mountains that have waterfalls just on, not like literally like a ring of water falling down, but just like everywhere you try and go, there's at some point going to be a few waterfalls you have to pass. Not going to be easy to reach the top, which then we need to put something cool up at the top, which could be some of these like magical lakes or ponds or things, but maybe we could do something else. Are there like bunches, are there a lot of caves up here that could be explored? Or what lives up here? Maybe if it's believed that this is where the gods weep for what this place has become, then maybe there's like an angel that is said to reside up in one of these lakes that could help people. Kenneth asks, is the water drinkable? Probably the most drinkable water in the area. Not all of it, I imagine, is drinkable. Some of it, I'm sure, is polluted. But maybe at the very highest point, you've got some drinkable water. What's up, Infinite? Good to see you. I'm glad you're following along with us. What are we doing at the moment? We are brainstorming our waterfalling mountain range where the gods weep for their mortals. Lord Law says maybe there's dry salts on the sides of the mountains. Or Samuel's saying, I'm imagining Niagara Falls with a massive bowl or a big bowl of waterfalls. Oh, where like they all come into like one big bottom of the mountain sort of area. Yeah, we could certainly do something like that. Crystallized god with the goddess tears. A couple different ideas for like salts or crystals. That's interesting. Yeah, of course, Mark, with the magic goats or mountain goats that lick the magic salt. Yes, of course. Minerals. This crystal idea is interesting because we've talked about how this jungle is super sulfuric, and sulfur, I think, is a type of, I don't know if it's a crystal, but it is a type of mineral. And so these mountains could be covered in lots and lots of big crystal ideas too. I like that idea. Sulfur mixes with pure natural rainfall, natural waters, humid mists here to form giant crystals that jut out of the side of the mountains. What could be cool about these crystals? Is there like something magical about them? Obviously sulfur is like poisonous, so you're making potions of poison. You can use it in an alchemy kit to make yourself resistant to poison or something like that. Or is it purely just a cool visual? It's still kind of cool. Sulfur mixes with humid mists here to form giant crystals that jut out of the side of the mountains. Or even completely envelop some? Question mark? I like that idea of like some of these mountain ranges that have just layers and layers and layers of sulfuric crystal, almost more like a glacier in the way that water can like flow through them, and they sort of can have hollow pockets, but they've just formed over time of things melting, refreezing. That's sort of a vibe I'm getting here. Samuel says, the lady of the list, maybe you mean mist, a large apparition of an angelic being formed by the vast wave of mist adorned with light, forming an angel of rainbow or rainbow colors. Jungles and rainbow. Yeah. That's a cool description. I'm trying to figure out like what does this angel do though? Like what's their vibe? If your players seek out this angel, what can they offer them? Mark with a name idea, Arcane Caldera. At the top of one of the mountains, there is a caldera of arcane energy that pours the water. Oh, what's a caldera? Guess I need to look that up. Let's look up, what is a caldera? Define. A large volcanic crater, especially one formed by a major eruption leading to the collapse of the mouth of the volcano. Oh, okay, so this was at one point a volcano? Because we do have to think about how these mountains formed. But I think we'd said... I suppose there could just be another volcano here. We've got 3 so far, but it's not like it's an active volcano. Like Mark's saying, an ancient one. Okay, yeah, sure, let's go with it. Caldera at the mountain's peak is flooded, and now a magical lake where an angel of something. We probably need to have one of these descriptions be committed to the god that we've referenced weeps here. Who, and this is, I could see this being not even like a god who went on the great pilgrimage. Like, it's an older god than that. A god so old and sort of out of touch with mortals that even the gods abandoned this one. When they went on the great pilgrimage, they're like, we don't need you. You're staying here. That would be kind of cool. You could think about that. But yeah, so a caldera at the mountain's peak is flooded, and now a magical lake where an angel that is said to reside. We'll have to work on that. Hey, Samael, welcome. And Samael, you got gifted a membership by Mark last time, so make sure to say thanks to Mark. Scarlet Demon's in here too. Good to see you. They said Caldera is the mouth of a volcano, and here's a plot twist from Scarlet Demon. It's a backwards volcano. Instead of pouring lava down the mountain face, it pours magma from the ground and into itself, flowing. Oh, interesting. That is a cool idea. A volcano that sucks lava up into it. Interesting idea, Scarlet. Mark says maybe where an angel. This is where an angel provides passing adventurers with cursed swords. Yeah, Lady in the Lake vibes. Samuel said volcanoes can form volcanoes can form in a straight line because the continents drift. Oh, yeah, it's not even that I'm worried about them being in, like, a straight line. I was just like, are there too many volcanoes? But I don't think so. Okay. An angel... I think Mark said the angel provides cursed swords. I wonder if it could be an angel that removes curses. I feel like I go to that idea a lot, though. Just because angels are beings of purity and all that sort of thing. So maybe this angel... Or what if they're just an angel of, like, fresh water? Like, I know that's sort of lame, but maybe the people of this jungle peninsula, because drinking water has to be somewhere. And even though it's a post-apocalyptic Doomsday world, there's gonna be a well somewhere or a stream somewhere where the people at the Violet Port or the Alabaster Citadel or the Citadel of Ivory or whatever can get their water. Maybe they believe it all comes from this angel. And yeah, well, let's go with that, sure. And bless the region with all its fresh water. Maybe. This angel could even serve could have served god of storms or something. Ooh, this could be, maybe the angel could be Quetzalcoatl. Is that how you pronounce that? It's kind of a cool monster I don't use very often. Scarlet said, random angels in the volcano give out swords. Is not a good basis for a system of government. True. Samuel Smith saying, maybe an angelic or divine being blessed the one sulfuric mountains with their holy tears, forming the sulfuric crystals. The crystals are known as tears and remain as a divine redemption of... Wait, what the hell are you... and remain as a divine redemption of... Oh, hold on, Samuel. Let me read that again. Maybe an angelic or divine being blessed the one sulfuric mountains with their holy tears, forming the sulfuric crystals. The crystals are known as tears and remain as a divine sign of the blessings that were put on this. Okay, I think I sort of understand what you're saying. You're saying that this place used to be an active volcano, but the tears put it out? Interesting. I don't want to lean too heavily into the volcano theme, though, with this particular hex, because we've got the Pocked Mountain to the southwest, which is, like, the oldest volcano in the region. So I kind of want that to be the dominant volcano in this right here, without, like, another one sort of fighting for attention next to it. I'm more interested in it being this waterfall-y mountain range that can have maybe some volcanic vents worked into it. Mark says, maybe the angel could just be lonely, seeking companionship after it was left behind by its god and brethren. True. Yeah, the people believe that it's weeping tears because it pities mortals, when in actuality, it's angry with the gods for leaving them here. That's a cool idea. We might work with that. Okay. Let's go with... Hold on. Oh, you know what we haven't done? Gotta crack our... Ooh. Very nice. Let's get this mic a little closer too. Okay. What do we got so far? Waterfalls pour down every face of every mountain, making it an extremely deadly range to climb or navigate. Sulfur mixes with humanoid mists here to form giant crystals. Is that how it works? Hold on. I want to look up... What does a sulfur crystal even look like? Okay, they are kind of cool, actually. Here, I'll show you what I'm seeing. Sulfur crystals. So really sickly yellow looking crystals. Why are they... What's like valuable? What are sulfur crystals used for? I'm not reading anything interesting. Just that they're used for skin and hair health, or joint and muscle pain relief. And okay, I was hoping there'd be some like crazy idea of what they could be used for, but I suppose not. Anywho, Samuel says maybe the waterfalls are coming from the wounds of an angel that gave their life to purify the land. There could be like a dead god up in the mountains, and that's where the water comes from. It's sort of going off of Samuel's idea. Instead of water spilling out of just an angel's body, let's go bigger with it. Could be cool. Scarlet says the sulfuric crystals could be a powerful magical regent. Regent? What does that mean? Is a regent like something that like enhances a power? A substance or mixture for use in chemical analysis or other reactions? Yeah, I do. So are you saying like the crystals make magic stronger here? That's an interesting idea. Or Mark saying maybe at the base between the two mountains there is some kind of arcane minefield or arcane storms that make it perilous to traverse the area. I think this is a cool... I feel like, yeah, something with storms needs to happen here. Some of the region, or the coast's most violent storms find their way here and crash against the mountains, drawn to the presence of a slain tempest god, maybe? Now that we're talking about gods and dead gods and like maybe the idea of a dead god being up in the mountains, I kind of got to think about what do gods look like? What's their scale in my setting? Because I've described gods previously to some of my players and maybe on here to you all that all gods in this world were once mortal. And they ascended to godhood through either technology. This was before the Great Pilgrimage, so they took their consciousness and plugged it into some giant automaton, or like a giant synthetic superpowered computer body, and that's what allowed them to become a god. They basically were in a big Jaeger sort of thing, and that's what people perceive to be a god, as it literally walked across the land. Or they did ascend to godhood through a more divine route, and they went to the fifth dimension. So they lose their physical presence on this plane, but in the fifth dimension they have like much greater or slightly different powers than what the Jaeger gods could have, basically, right? So is it a giant god's corpse laying up in the mountain, or is it something more with this divine route? I kind of feel like if we want to make it feel like a really old god in this ancient mountain range that is in the frontiers of civilization or of this world, then it should be something more divine, less technology based. Although we have the human city that got destroyed by the meteors that created the Bombard Guard, and we've got that skyship port. So there are aspects of that side of the world, the science fiction side of it, present. But maybe this could be like a truly ancient part of the world. I think I like that idea. I want there to be sci-fi that can go be explored, but we also lean more into the more high fantasy aspect of things. Hope that made sense. Samuel said maybe it's the good version of the Kukul clan, which is the Inca version. I don't know much about that. I'd have to look them up, I suppose. Scarlet Demon says that does make sense geologically because volcanic eruptions often cause thunderstorms and lightning. Well, obviously I knew that. So I put the idea there. I'm freaking genius at world building. Samuel Smith says almost like a Prometheus situation, like it's a chained god that was abandoned. Could be. Ooh, a chained god. That's interesting. Or their... that's pretty cool. It's like their spirit... The spirit of this god lingers near the tops of the mountains. Maybe because there's like a temple. Could be, what about one of the last surviving temples of this god? The spirit of a forgotten tempest god lingers over the mountains, looking after the last temple built in its name. Maybe there's like one monk who lives there, right? And they've been looking after this place for... Well, it could be the angel, I guess, too. There's one temple left where this last angel to a forgotten god resides, and this angel and this god are just in this, like, endless back and forth. This makes it sound not as cool as it sounded in my head. I'm imagining, like, an angel just spends eternity talking to this god, because it's just them. There's no one else. That sounds cool in my head. Very dramatic. I don't know what that would necessarily mean to characters or if that's even a cool story beat to work into a campaign. Silver says, the picture I showed that had a lot of vines. So how about twisting living vines from a natural bridge between peaks? Wait. Twisting living vines from natural bridges between peaks for those brave or stupid. Oh, maybe you might be thinking, Silver's, of a different region. Are you talking about the Tangled Horns? Because you're talking about like vine bridges and things, and this is where we introduced that. We could, of course, have that here too, but I don't want to copy-paste from another hex. I want this one to be unique. Scarlet Demon said, fun fact, the loudest sound ever heard was Krakatoa erupting at 310 decibels in 1883. The sound waves were heard globally. Oh, that's cool. You'll learn so many new things from Scarlet Demon when they're in the chat. Samuel says also under the Andes, that's a mountain range in South America, is buried the winged cougar. What is the winged cougar? I have no idea what that even is. You guys are giving me so many references today that I am not picking up. Let's make this text a little smaller. Okay. Waterfalls pour down these mountain ranges. There's a bunch of sulfuric crystals that cling to the sides of the mountains. There's a caldera at its highest. So maybe we need to... Realizing this one doesn't quite fit with this one. There's a caldera at the top of the mountain where there's a lake and an angel resides in it. We've got super violent storms make their way here. The spirit of a tempest god lingers over the tallest mountain. What would be... Other fun details here. There's got to be like some shrines to this god, right? There's a forgotten temple, but maybe I'm thinking like elemental shrines, like air elemental shrines that people would pray to, and if they did, then maybe the storms here wouldn't affect them. Like you could kind of pass through this mountain range even during the most fierce storm, and it wouldn't. Ooh, yeah, I like this idea. Tempest shrines dot the trails here that if worshipped at, are said to allow one to travel through the mountains during even the most violent storm without risk of death. I don't know. Maybe they're like... Yeah, I like this idea that you can encounter these strange shrines, and maybe anyone who like comes here and explores this area might just think of them as like ancient statues. But if you take the time to properly investigate it, make a religion check, you can realize, oh no, this is a shrine. You decipher these old prayers, and when you recite them, like wind elementals kind of form this Avatar the Last Airbender shield around you, and you can make your way up through this mountain where the rain and the lightning and the winds can't even touch you. Seems interesting. Let's see. Mark saying maybe an offshore platform of some kind. You're talking like a research facility or an island? What are you thinking here? Tell me more. I am thinking that it would be cool if there were some weather control temples here. Like the people who built the golden or the heaven steps, the skyship port, and used this place to kind of help with the great pilgrimage and send ships up into the heavens. Maybe they installed some temples in this mountain range that could control the weather, so when they needed to do their launches or their test flights, they could clear the skies. Ooh, that's cool. Forgotten weather control temples, put those in quotes, were built here by the people of the redacted city. Gonna need to come up with a name for that place. In their launches from the heavens steps. Okay, so we've got some sort of weather control station, a research facility, very sci-fi up here. What would it... Maybe it has, like, uses trapped air elementals of some kind to, like, perform its rituals. And so that would give us a reason to have a bunch of angry air elementals, like, flying around these mountains, ones that have escaped from the facility or these temples, like that. Samael says the Quetzalcoatl is the good, in quote, god of the skies who defeated the winged cougar for the domain of the universe and buried under the surface of the... Oh, okay, that's a cool story. So the Quetzalcoatl defeated and buried the winged cougar, and that's the legend about the Andes mountain range. I didn't know that. That's awesome. Silver says floating islands are formed when the storms tear apart the mountain foundation, suspended by air elementals, even when the storm... Ooh, I like that idea, that there are wild storms. How do we describe this? Because I like this idea that there's islands of broken off section of the mountain or big sulfuric crystals that not only are kind of floating around, but even can kind of be, during like bad storms, they will sweep these huge crystallized, or these beach, they will break off these big sulfur crystals and throw them out across the jungle peninsula. So you almost have like a miniature, it's like a volcanic eruption in the sense that when a volcano explodes, it sends big lava locks and things kind of crashing down into the jungle. Only here, it's not a volcano going off, it's a storm sending up columns of huge sulfur that then crash down all over the place. That's kind of cool. Can rip off huge sections of the mountains or crystallized sulfur to form floating islands or hurl them across the peninsula like as dangerous projectiles. Cool. How did we not think to do floating islands until now? Silver's good recommendation. Mark confirming he was thinking, yeah, some sort of oil platform, weather control, a wave generator, a power plant. Yeah, I'm glad we're on. I kind of picked up what you were putting down. And let's go with that weather control temple. I think that would be just so sick. I want to go back to our big map real quick and just get a sense of, does that make sense for its location? Good lord, it's a big zine. It is like far away. It's many days away from the bombarded garden and the heaven steps. But if it's a weather control temple, I'd imagine it can control weather for like a very big region. It's not just like, oh, in this one little hexed area, it can control the weather. It's like, no, if you can control this temple, you can control the weather for all of the Retched Tropics, basically. So I think it still works. Okay, yep, Weeping Mountains, here we are. What other ideas? I saw one more from Scarlet Demon. What if a floating wizard's tower crashed into the mountain? Only on investigation would it be discovered that the tower didn't crash, but was pulled out of the sky for floating somewhere it shouldn't have? It's a cool idea. I feel like we could probably have a wizard character here if we wanted. I don't know if it needs to be one of the dominant descriptions of this place. Seems like kind of an NPC anybody could come up with. And if we were gonna do an NPC here, I would want to do some sort of monk. And I feel like that monk could replace this angel character that we sort of talked about. What do we got so far? Oh, fruit fly. Let's see if I can get this guy. Yeah. I want to get to a D10 list for this one. It feels like a good one to just have lots of wilderness ideas about the monstrous here, or the environmental hazards and stuff like that. What would be some cool monsters to be in the area? We talked about some air elementals. You've got crazy storms. It's a place where, like, you would think lots of flying creatures would live, but the storms make it very dangerous to do that here. So maybe there's, I'm thinking like some sort of thunderbird, like a storm falcon or something that kind of leans into the elemental vibe here. And I've mentioned birds in the past, and we haven't really come up with anything too cool. We talked about like some axe beaks that hunt the magma beetles, but that's about it. I think some storm hawks or something could be really cool. Oh, Stormhawk, that's a name from 40K. Ooh, Mark dropping an idea, also referencing some characters in our ongoing campaigns, but maybe some sort of wizard oracle that is in charge of the weather station here. Yeah, like a... So they were placed here to tend to the temple, and their job was... I'm trying to think, does it make more sense that's like, just keep things as usual here? Like, just make sure the weather operates how it's supposed to, or in the final moments of the Great Pilgrimage, did they get some sort of like spiteful or heretical order, like, we want you to drown this land, right? Or like flood it in water so that it can be forgotten. And then the question remains, did whatever is here, oh my god. The question is, whoever was given those orders, are they here actually doing it? Or did they go against their god's wishes? Or has this temple been taken over? So many interesting questions. I feel like the more interesting one is like, they've strayed from their original instruction that gives the player something to fix or correct when they discover this place. Or maybe there's like some sort of apocalypse that needs to be avoided here, like the angels or the servo priests who are operating this ancient weather control facility are preparing to completely flood it entirely, and the characters can try and stop that. So many different directions to go in with it. Maybe Mark has a cool idea to fill it in here. Ooh, Scarlet says maybe a group of satyr monks who would be very skilled at navigating the landscape. Oh, we don't have any fae. Yeah, what's cool in my setting, fae are basically like a fungal parasite. I think I told you guys in the previous stream that demons are, I don't want to even call them Xenos parasites, but they're like parasites from another plane of existence that latch onto a human soul and then through the corruption of that soul kind of take on a physical form. Fae are similar, but instead of being like a parasite, they're more wild, and it's like like fuzzy mold, stuff that like grows on bread and things like that. That's sort of what all Fae start out as. They grow in the damp, dark, wild places of the world and twist things to become the like whimsical, or at times like bloodthirsty or kind of cutthroat Fae. So in my setting, they're not just like fairy tales. Like they're scary. Like the Fae, they don't have any malice the same way demons do, where they're trying to like destroy a soul. But just by the mere fact of Fae being in the area on my world means like this fungal, it's not a parasite. I don't know, almost like a hive mind is sometimes how I've described my Fae. Like just this fungal growth is sweeping across the land. So that could be cool to introduce here. Maybe that's what happened with this weather temple. The weather temple was taken over by some sort of Fae? Maybe. Could be cool. I'll think about it. Infinite saying, what about some sort of plants that sustain themselves on the blessed water? Or maybe, or also adding, Infinite says, maybe the command of the oracle that the wizard was given doesn't work because of the dragon's appearance. Maybe something was stolen? A relic of the god? Or I feel like we're kind of circling around this idea that something about this weather temple, it's either going to doom the land or it could save the land, but whatever the case is, it's missing the thing that it needs to actually do it. And it's interesting that maybe there's some sort of way to use this temple as a weapon against Facepocker or the Mantle Empress, the giant elemental primordial magma beetle thing. Like if you could turn these storms against her, could you drench her mountain in rainwater and cause it to like turn into just a big chunk of obsidian? I like that idea. I do. What is the thing that's missing? They jacked the frackin' water chip. Our Scarlet Demon says, what if the trapped air elementals escaped and the wizard is trapped within the station, unable to leave? Oh yeah, Scarlet, that's a good idea. The temple no longer functions as it should because the majority of its air elementals have escaped. Now, the question is, they've escaped and maybe they're just like scattered across the peninsula. Ooh, cool fetch quest for the party. Very, feels very Legend of Zelda too, Breath of the Wild, right? You're like, go find these things, and they're all fucking over the place, right? Like you gotta go explore every part of this land if you're gonna find them all. That's cool. Very, very fun idea. Who was that again? Was that Scarlet Demon? Yeah, it was Scarlet Demon. Oh, sweet. Good idea. Okay. One more little idea here. I think it needs to be something that describes, like, there would have been trails here, so maybe there's like, I'm picturing some cool battle maps for an encounter where there's like these bridges that waterfalls are just crashing down onto the middle of the bridge. So not only is it dangerous to try and walk across because you could get swept off by the waterfall, but then you've got air elementals howling around you, or you've got, I don't know, maybe it's not even worth describing, but just the visual of these like narrow pathways carved into the sides of these mountains. It's always been a very scary battlefield idea for me. As a player, I like anything that is on a precarious ledge is always, adds just so much tension. It's a very easy battlefield to introduce. I feel like it could be used here. What's up, Hidden? Good to see. And Hidden is one of the players who recently joined my campaign as well. So I've been hashtag blessed to have so many people jumping in on my campaigns. I'm really psyched about it. Got ideas from Samael about like carnivorous plants here. Mark talking about the divine beast from Legend of Zelda. It could be up in the lake, yeah. Welcome back, Kenneth. Scarlet Demon says, what about the flock of harpies that found a safe spot in the crags and cracks of the rock? Oh, I would go with harpies, but I think I put harpies in the Retched Quagmire. Yeah, under scavengers, I added a point. I don't think we had talked about this in brainstorming on stream, but I said, so the Retched Quagmire is home to an unusually large harpy population that feasts on rot-blogged corpses. Or blogged? Whoops, that should be bloated. On rot-bloated corpses floating by their nests when sailors prove sparse. Because when I looked at the map for the Retched Quagmire, or the Hex 3 here, right? Like, it's got coastal waters on both sides of it. Ships would be coming in there to get to, like, the Violet Port, maybe. And I also added an idea that the sulfuric bog, because it's on this narrow strip of land between two kind of... Are those gulfs, bays? I think it's a bay when water comes inwards, right? But I talked about how at high tide, the waters get high enough that there's actually secret river channels that pirates and smugglers know about that they can sail. It takes a few days to do so, but you could sail from basically... Where's my little pointer thing? If you're on this side of the sulfur bog, during high tide, you can sail literally across it to get to here. So you can shave off a couple days, probably more like a few weeks of sailing up around the northern tip of this place by just cutting through here. But because there are sailors who go through there and they might like get stranded, their ship just gets caught during a low tide and they're never able to get back into the water, or they wreck into some trees or ruins or whatever, that the harpies here feast on those sailors. So I thought that was a cool idea. But then I also described that the Retched Quagmire is a lowland, and it's got all of the water runoff from the Pox Mountain to the south, the Ruptured Hive to the north, and now these Weeping Mountains to the southeast. All of the water sort of makes its way down into this lowland valley. So I said, oh, wouldn't it be interesting if maybe all of the, almost inexplicably, it seems like a weird magical effect of this land, all of the jungle's corpses eventually wash up into the Retched Quagmire. So you've got a bunch of sulfur zombies and plenty of corpses for these harpies to pick at and eat when sailors aren't to be found. So all that to say, I already had an idea for harpies somewhere on the island, so I don't think I want to drop them here. Samael says, Aztec priests used mummies as oracles, consulting them for guiding the tribe. That's no myth, it's actually what they did. Mysteriously, the oracles always favor the shamans, so... mummies could be... I guess we don't have any mummies anywhere in the Retched Tropics so far. Is this the place to introduce them, though? I don't know if it is. It is a cool idea. You know what could be here? A rock. A giant rock could nest here. And there's like... Maybe that's the one thing Facepocker fears, is this giant rock. That's cool. So if Facepocker fears this rock, obviously we don't want it to be the sort of thing where this rock is like always out, it's always flying around, and it's a thing, like it's more in myth, like no one even knows if it's necessarily real, because we want Facepocker to be able to come out of his mountain and sort of terrorize the area. So it's like, what has stopped Facepocker from killing the rock? What has stopped the rock from killing Facepocker? And why do they have this relationship going on in the world right now? The rock could maybe people believe it's like the god of storms, like reborn. That could be interesting. And something might need to happen for it to be able to leave the mountain. It has to regain its strength. Maybe has anybody dropped an idea? Let's see. What do we got? what's this from Scarlet Demon? There is a historical culture thing called sky burials, where instead of the dead being buried, the bodies would be left exposed so that when they were offered to creatures like vultures and elementals. Oh, that's cool. That's fun, Scarlet. I like that idea. Yeah, Samuel, I can tell. I'm sort of trapped in an Aztec hole right now. Aztecs are freaking sick, though. I agree with you. Ooh, what's this? Mark says a copper rock, but it's actually a drone ship from days gone past. Has to come back to the abandoned mountain base to recharge. Ooh. That's cool. So, does that mean it's a... I'm having an idea here. You're sort of... you sparked up something different in my head. So, you know how I'd said, maybe here in the Weeping Mountains, there's this god. But it's not a technological god, it is a divine god, someone who has ascended to the fifth dimension. And maybe this temple isn't just powered by air elementals. What if it is powered by that trapped god? Like you have this ancient god, maybe a god to the early peoples of this peninsula. Then you've got Vecna's people who show up, mankind, a little before the Great Pilgrimage happens. They learn of this god. They imprison it because they've got such newer, more powerful magics. And they are using it to... That's what they use to control the weather. And that explains why now the humans left on the Great Pilgrimage, they just abandoned this god trapped here. And their fury is what causes these spirits and these tempests to come and smash into this mountain range. And yeah, oh, I feel like that's really cool. The spirit of a trapped tempest god, or of an ancient tempest god, is trapped within the mountain. All of these are going to need to use some editing and some reworking, but I'm just feeling like, am I writing something that we already said? No, we haven't said this yet. The spirit of an ancient tempest god is trapped within the mountain, placed here by Vecna's scientist to create a weather control facility. Yeah, okay. A couple of them are going to need to be combined to sort of make that idea make sense. It feels like really out of left field, I think, right there. But that would be so cool. So we've got this ancient god combined with the newer ideas of technology. That works. That's really cool. And the rock, if we bring the rock into this, it is what? It is a... Is it something that this divine god can sort of take over in moments of its fury? Maybe, or it's something it's trying to use to escape? Like the people were building this giant rock to hold the god's spirit in. But now we're getting into, see, this is interesting. That's sort of what like the Jaeger gods are, the science gods, the ones who were built. So that almost makes me think like the newer mortals were trying to control. Yeah, oh man. I feel like there's this really cool idea here that's just on the tip of my tongue and I'm having a hard time explaining it. Let's see what messages were coming through here. Samael said, another idea for mummies. Mesoamericans use a vertical... what's a vertical tumulation? Tumulation? For their kings and powerful priests. They'll rest on the top of the ziggurat and carry it in battles to guide the warriors. You might need to give me a little more information on what you're saying there, Samael. Not quite sure. Scarlet Demon says, going in the undead route, Mount Everest is considered the world's highest graveyard. Climbers use frozen bodies as trail markers. Ooh, yeah. There are. I am getting this visual going off of this like sky burial and stuff that you've shared of like the ancient people here had like they built small crypts into the mountain, and those are the dungeons your players can encounter as they move through this area, are these ancient sky crypts where people, the early monks of this land or the early humanoids kind of buried their dead, and now their spirits are said to... Oh! Ooh, maybe because they are angered that their god was imprisoned, all of the souls of their dead linger here, and so it's like a big ghost mountain. That's cool, because we don't really have a lot of undead going on in this Jungle Peninsula so far. I mean, I guess that's maybe not totally true. We have the vampires, and then I'd put zombies in the Retched Quagmire, but we don't have ghosts, and that could be here. Or that, yeah, ghosts could be here. I like that. Oldest dungeons here are crypts built by primitive mortals to house their dead, whose spirits howl and fly through the mountain, enraged by their god's imprisonment. And here's a reason I could see your characters needing to use like a... How do you spell imprisonment? Imprison? Is it just the N? Thank you, autocorrect, for not realizing I needed to put one N there. But like, your players encounter these ancient tribal ghosts, and they're speaking a language that people haven't spoken in thousands of years. So your wizard finally has a reason to use, like, I guess detect thoughts. Does that help you? Or do you have to know the language? What's the spell? Comprehend language. That's the spell. And then you can learn the lore of these ghosts, that their god is trapped within the mountain. And only when that god is freed will all of the spirits that are kind of stuck here, will they be able to go to the new, or go to the heavens and rejoin their god. That would be so cool. Okay, sweet. That's that should be 10 points, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yep, we got 10. The Weeping Mountain. That one came out really cool. Don't know what I'll call it. The Weeping Mountain might actually work, though. I do dig it. Okay. What do we got now? The Pocked Mountain. Woo! How are we doing on time? Oh, we're doing good. Hasn't even been like an hour yet. Nice. Alright. What's going on in chat here, though? Hey, Lord Lost, no worries. You gotta dip out. It's good having you here. Thanks for brainstorming with us. I'll see you tomorrow at our session. Samuel said, I'm limited by the chat tool, but Undead King follow and guide their warriors to capture slaves to be sacrificed to their gods and searching them in the afterlife. I know you're limited by the chat tool, but I feel like it's cutting out words that are making it very hard for me to understand what's being said. So this Undead King is like capturing souls in the afterlife to sacrifice to their god. I think that's what you're saying, and if that's what you're saying, that's a very cool myth. Another awesome little bit of world lore from the Aztecs, I suppose. All right, let's move on, yeah? Let's crank out the Pocked Mountain. So this is our dragon lair. It is the peninsula's oldest volcano, which no longer belches lava, but refluxes sulfuric rivers, rumored to be the drool of the black dragon Facepocker. So we're shifting gears here, right? We're leaving our Weeping Mountains behind. Now we're coming to this ancient, dead volcano. What are our ideas for this place? Ideas that maybe to kind of give you guys some jumping off points. We need to think about, where does Facepocker reside within the volcano? What does the lair itself look like? What sort of monsters are here? What sort of treasures does Facepocker hoard here? How could Facepocker be defeated? Is there something that causes the volcano to awaken? You know, we said it doesn't really put out lava anymore, it puts out sulfur. Is there something that could cause this volcano to become active again? We need to think about Facepocker's current state. Is he so old he just sleeps all the time? Is he injured? Does he just like being alone here? He's kind of fine with living in this super remote peninsula with not a ton of subjects to like worship him. I don't know, all kinds of things for you guys to help me out with here. The Pocked Mountain. Okay, let's think. Where do we want to start? Maybe we start with Facepocker himself. Why did he come here? He came here Maybe he came here to plunder the Heaven Steps? Like he'd heard that... No, because Facepocker was here when the dwarves arrived, the Pale Spears, and there was a big battle there. And then the people showed up. So Facepocker wouldn't have come here because of the mortals, so that doesn't make sense. Maybe he came here to... Feel like he needs to have some sort of conflict with the mortals of this place. Maybe he... Was he the reason... I was going to say maybe he was the reason the city was destroyed that created the bombarded gardens, but we talked about, no, the gods destroyed that city to cover up what they had been doing here and sort of get rid of evidence that the Great Pilgrimage had even really been... That, like, they had built some of their ships and stuff here. So that doesn't make sense. Sorry, guys. I don't know what's going on. I feel like I'm in a little bit of a creative fog today. Scarlet said, since it's all acidic, what if the innate magic animated the acid, making it infested with gelatinous cubes and other oozes? Yeah, we haven't come up with like a specific sulfur acid monster yet. It's mentioned in the overview of the Retched Tropics that there are lots of acidic slimes and things like that here, but we could definitely come up with just an actual slime monster here. Pockets of, or maybe we'll say like puddles of tar like sulfur are animated by Facepocker's unholy presence and turned into sentient oozes. That's a fine enough description for now. Mark, you're gonna message me on Discord. What kind of idea you got going on here? I guess I'll jump over into Discord. Let's see what you sent me. While that's pulling up, Kenneth said, does he have a busted jaw, or can Facepocker even close his mouth anymore? Interesting question. I'm wondering, is there something I said that led you to believe that, like, he doesn't have a working jaw? Because he does, as far as I'm aware. I haven't really had anything in my head thinking he has, like, some big messed up jaw. Scarlet says, what if Facepocker fled to the mountain because of an extreme injury, thinking the magical area would help him heal, only for it to warp and mutate his flesh? Ooh, that's interesting. Hold on, let's see. Oh, Mark's typing up the message right now. Okay, I'll give it a second. Yeah, I feel like Facepocker fled here following a battle with the... what if the Pale Spears followed Facepocker here because he had destroyed their... I mean, it's just the Smog story, right? He destroyed their home, but then why would he have fled here? The Pale Spears kind of injured him, and then tried to finish the job by hunting him down here. Maybe something like that. So I'm trying to think of the timeline. You've got this crazy jungle peninsula. It's frontier. It's unexplored. Nothing really lives here. Does Facepocker move in, and then the dwarves come, and then the humans show up? Or is it the dwarves were already here, and then Facepocker shows up? No, I like the idea that Facepocker was sort of one of the first ones here. Also, the Pale Spears doesn't sound like the name of like a truly powerful dwarven kingdom. It sounds like a cool name for the tribe of dwarves that live here now. Maybe we say Facepocker fled here following a battle with the Pale Spears' ancestors, hoping to hide and heal within this ancient volcano. The Pale Spears followed him here, and now he's... Or maybe he Maybe he was struck down during the Great Pilgrimage. Facepocker. Or... no. I feel like he needs to be like an old sleeping dragon. One that just stays in his volcano for 99% of the time. And when he does come out, that's when it's like apocalyptic status. It's like, this is really, really bad. Because if the humans showed up and they were building this fleet of flying vessels and were sort of creating things to help with the construction of the Ark, that's a lot of stuff that would probably attract a dragon. So they sort of had to keep him asleep. So I like that idea that the people of the bombarded garden, the city that got destroyed there, they like made regular maybe offerings to this dragon to appease it. Like sacrifices were constantly thrown into his volcano or something like that. I'm not sure. What's up, Kyle? Kyle Campu saying, not idea for Facepocker himself, but more for the mountain. Maybe because of the sulfur, it has the blue fire or the blue lava phenomenon. Like the... Oh, yeah, someone had mentioned, maybe it was you, Kyle, that in a previous stream you said sulfur burns blue or something like that. It's cool. Visually, it's cool, and if it's scientifically what happens, then, like, good to know. But I don't see blue being a color that really goes with this black dragon. If I saw blue fire, to me that's like ghostly. I would think it's like some big ghost dragon living in here. Oh, Kenneth. So when you were asking about is his jaw messed up, you're saying maybe that's an idea because of the drool. Yeah, when I said it was Facepocker's drool, I meant, in my mind, I was thinking more of like a sleeping dragon, like drooling in its sleep. That's sort of what I thought. I think I'm going to just commit to this idea that Facepocker is kept asleep. Mortals of this region have managed to keep Facepocker asleep by making regular sacrifices at the top of his lair to keep him well fed. And that's interesting lore for the humans of the redacted city. Like, not only were they here committing a heretical sin of building things for the Ark, building heavenly vessels that would be used to abandon half of humanity, but they were also so dedicated to this cause that they were willing to sacrifice souls to a dragon to keep it asleep, to keep their work secret and safe. So you've got that, but then you've also got like the lizard folk who are living in the area, and they're making sacrifices to this dragon now. So I'm just thinking like, ooh, how does that all kind of tie together to tell a really interesting story about the history of this place? I don't know, that just seems cool to me. Multiple layers to this idea of sacrifices being made to this dragon. It's not just the lizard folk. This has been happening for far longer. Samael says there's some sort of life form that lives in volcanoes. So maybe something... Wait. There's an extremophile... Brother, I don't know what these words are. There's an extremophile's life form that lives in volcanoes. So can an acid pond. The volcanoes one are called Infernococcus ferocis. Brother, please spare me. I am having the hardest time reading some of these words. Hidden said, a bit out of the loop today, been in and out, but what if he was a pet or child of an old god? Said to hold this territory in their name, or... Oh, now that's interesting. I guess if you bring up an interesting point, Hidden, of like, what are dragons? In the context of the old world and this doomed campaign setting, what is a dragon? Because so far we've talked about like demons, which are these parasites from another dimension. Obviously we've got Xenos aliens, things from other parts of the heavens, beholders and all that sort of stuff, little green men. We've got our Fae, this sort of fungal growth that is spreading across the heavens. It's like a big hive mind. Monsters, in my mind, monsters are usually some sort of like mutant. Like they're like a thing, like a person that through some sort of unholy magics was transformed into a horrifying monster. So are dragons just monsters, or are they something else entirely? Like, are they maybe like an ancient form of a Xenos? Like, they were these space worms that came to this planet a long time ago to try and conquer it? And like the younger or the newer dragons of this age are just the ancient descendants of that? That's an interesting idea. I'm only thinking about the origins of dragons because that would matter. If we're going to commit to this idea that Hidden has of like, oh, it's like this dragon is the pet of a god, then what does that mean for how, like, I don't know. That just has a lot of implications in my mind for what a dragon is. I don't want them to be pets, though. I want them to be their own, like, tyrannical creature. Maybe they're just like a primordial thing. Maybe dragons have just always been here and their origins are just completely lost. I'm not sure. Oh, Mark said he's got an idea he just sent over in the Discord. Let's see what you said. A 46-minute or a 46-second voice memo. Brother, I can't listen to a voice memo right now. But let's see. I'll listen to that later, brother. Noble Knight says maybe the dragon was genetically engineered for some sort of purpose. Now I feel like I'm going to have to start keeping a list of all of these different creature types and their origins on the doomed world. Because, yeah, what is a dragon? That is such a good question. In the context of Forgotten Realms, does anybody know what dragons are there? Are they just like... I feel like they were part of like the original soup that made the universe. It was like dragons and giants or something. I have no idea. I don't know Faerun realm lore enough. Golden Sajti, welcome Golden. I haven't seen you in chat in a little while. Said maybe it's a fake dragon made by necromancers. The makers are dead and this dragon thinks it's the real one? An undead dragon that believes it's real. Yeah, that's a cool idea. I don't know if it... Yeah, I don't know if that's it for Facepocker, because I don't see him being like an undead dragon. I see him being a really, really old black dragon who... I like this idea. He's so old. You know how old people like have like they're always making gross mouth noises or whatever. That's like a joke you hear. Like this old black dragon that literally just drools out of its withered lips acid and things like that. It's very, not wrinkly in like a comedic sort of way, but this dragon just clearly shows its age. Mark said, it used to be active, became inactive due to using a heat sink to drain heat to use a geothermal power source. Pocker's now using that power plant as a higher capacity, or at a higher capacity, which is drawing more heat and reactivating the volcano. If it continues, it could cause it to explode, aka Yellowstone levels of destruction. Okay, here's where I'm at with that idea. I like it, but we have a lot of like secret workstations or power plants or things kind of scattered across the peninsula. And I'm worried if we keep doing more and more of those, this jungle is not going to feel like a frontier anymore. And so I kind of feel like I want this, if this is the oldest volcano here, and Facepocker has been here before the humans ever showed up here, before the dwarves even showed up here, then it seems like a part of the jungle where no one really goes. No one could get close enough for fear of waking him up. So building some sort of like secret lab underneath the volcano feels not unrealistic, because it's a fantasy world. Like they could, if they wanted to do it, if we wanted to come up with a way where they built a lab here, we could. But I just don't want. I almost don't want there to be any of that here. I want it to feel like I want it to feel like the oldest part of this jungle. So maybe the volcano was. I was gonna say it could be the tomb of an ancient god, and Facepocker has come here to eat that corpse. But now we've got in the Mantle Empress, that giant primordial lava beetle. Part of her lore was that she ate a god of the forge, and that's part of what kind of caused her to become so big. So no, I don't want to do that. Oh, we talked about ideas of there being legends of there being golden cities here in the Retched Tropics. Maybe that legend is so old that the golden city it's talking about is the one that was built on this volcano before Facepocker came and took it over for himself. And the golden city would have a yellowish look to it, and if this mountain is really sulfuric with big shards of crystallized sulfur, if we want to go with that idea again, then maybe it's like, is the glint of gold on this volcano, is that from these sulfur crystals, or is it from one of these forgotten cities? I like this idea of there being a golden city here. I'm not exactly sure where or how I want to work it in, but I like that idea. That's why Facepocker came here. So yeah, it doesn't have to be a battle with the pale spears. Or another idea, what if, here, I'm going to just write this and commit to it and see what you guys think. What if Facepocker entered the volcano with his horde stolen from the pale spears, from his immense golden horde, and had his kobold minions build a city of gold around him. And had his kobold minions use it to build a city of gold around him, which he could sleep within. So inside the volcano is a golden city, which Facepocker himself kind of lives inside. He sleeps within his golden city, and sulfurish fumes flow out of it down into the jungles, and that's kind of the origin of this idea of a golden city. Oh, I like that. Hold on. I gotta blow my nose. God damn it. I was still muted. God damn it. Damn it. Damn it. Damn it. Embarrassing. Embarrassing. Well, now I'm caught up on the stream chat and saw that. Yep. I was in fact muted. I have no idea for how long. I could not tell you. But what I was saying was I liked Mark's idea. I like this idea that he's just been sleeping. That's like all he really cares about. Mark, there's nothing to really recap, honestly. It was a lot of me going, I like that, but that's cool, but how do we make that work? How do we make that work? Okay, so Facepocker came here with a bunch of treasure. He was wounded by the dwarves. Maybe he wasn't just wounded. Maybe he was like crippled. Like he lost something. He lost a few of his limbs or something. Or he doesn't have wings anymore. Or something that just keeps him confined. He could be blind. That feel like it when I think of an old withered husk of a black dragon that drools sulfur. If it came out and it had no eyes, just sulfur kind of spilled, like waterfalled out of its eye sockets, that would be very cool. Yeah, let's roll with it. Facepocker is so ancient and wounded from his battles with the Pale Spears that he is blind and desires only to sleep and be worshipped by his kobold spawn. Rarely leaves his lair except to collect offerings from mortals on the peninsula. So I imagine maybe like once a year, there's some terrible, not a holiday. What's another word for a holiday? A ceremony, a tradition. I don't know exactly, but like the people of the Violet Port and the people of the Citadel of Ivory and all of the various scattered little tribes or whatever that kind of live across this jungle peninsula, they have to give up an offering to Facepocker. He's gonna come down, and if you don't give him what he wants, he'll kill you all, right? He'll just ancient black dragon melt you with acid. But if you give him maybe like a magical offering, it could be treasure or it could be people, like he likes to eat sorcerers or something like that. But that's what keeps him asleep. He's so old, and he's already, like, in his mind, maybe he won, right? He lives in a golden city inside a volcano. The dwarves that came here to try and hunt and kill him, he eventually defeated them, and the humans and everybody else have been abandoned by their gods. He's like, I'm pretty set. I just want to live out my life in my volcano lair. But every once in a while, I'm going to poke my head out and kind of make sure things are kosher, and I'll gobble up a couple sorcerer offerings, and then we'll call it good, and I'll go back to sleep. I feel like that's cool. And it makes it emphasizes how powerful he is, right? He's not even really scheming. He's so old and powerful that, like, what scheming is there to be done? There's nobody here on this peninsula that poses a threat to him. He's an ancient black dragon. And he's even the druids of the Violet Port wouldn't be enough to, like, defeat him, right? This is where your characters come in, but yeah. The high power of silence has been casted upon me. Yeah, whoops. I just miscast my own spell. I put silence on myself like an idiot. He got a permanent broken jaw from the dwarves. Kenneth, I like that you really latched onto that idea of the drool. Like, oh, well, there's got to be a reason he drools. It's because he's got a big busted jaw. It is a funny, like, as you roleplay him, he has, like, a weird kind of slack jaw, causing him to have, like, a drawn-out way of speaking. It is a cool idea, actually. I think if I were to roleplay him, I'd probably steal that idea, Kenneth. Noble Knight saying, which, by the way, welcome, Noble Knight. Good to see you in chat. Maybe he has a mad scientist kobold, or maybe he's a mad scientist himself. Sleeping has something to do with him trying to regrow or something. Yeah. I don't know if I don't see him being like a mad scientist sort of character, though. Golden Saj T says, he's got an idea. What if the volcano produces an alloy that can reduce aging, so this dragon guarding it and wants more to try and reverse back to being younger? Maybe. But dragons live so long as it is. In my mind, dragons would be like almost truly immortal. Elves, in my setting, I used to think elves would live forever, sort of Tolkien style, but now I'm more like, nah, they live a couple hundred years, maybe like 500 years or something, and then they kick the bucket. Because having truly immortal creatures, kind of, as cool as it is, it starts to throw some wrenches in world building lore, where it's like, how does information get lost if you've got creatures that have been around forever and know the answers to like some of those questions, right? Does that make sense? Like, that's why elves are a tough one. Because anytime you want to introduce, or even dwarves, you want to introduce a group of people who have been in this area for hundreds of years, then like, you just have to accommodate that sort of a timeline. And so if, like, how many elf kingdoms can rise and fall and rise and fall and rise and fall? I guess that's why humans exist, right? They're the most, it's like they almost are moving in fast forward, double speed compared to elves. So elves literally watch these human kingdoms rise and fall all around them, I guess. So I guess that makes sense. Even in 500 years, you could watch that happen. But if you have them around for all time, you have an elf that's thousands of years old. I don't know. It's just a little unbelievable to me, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. Mark said, ancient species are often slow-paced, so I imagine him sounding kind of like Treebeard. Yeah, for sure. His goal now, suddenly I'm second-guessing myself on it just being sleeping. Maybe he's interested in the treasures he's heard about in the bombarded garden. He is so old and has spent so much of his life asleep that maybe he doesn't even fully know like what that place was. So he's like trying to discover its secrets. And maybe that's like this part of the sacrifices that are brought to him he doesn't eat them, but like his lizard folk worshippers, right, who live in the jungle, a ship of sailors wrecks on the sea, and the lizard folk capture a bunch of these sailors, bring them up to Facepocker, and he doesn't eat them, but instead says, you are going to travel north for me, and you're going to explore the bombarded gardens, and you're going to bring back whatever information you discover about that place. And he's using his enslaved humans, right, to try and learn about these treasures that he could maybe add to his hoard. And he's so old, he doesn't care to leave his mountain and go investigate it for himself. He's gonna have his minions do it. That seems kind of cool. We have lots of notes here about Facepocker himself, and not really much about the mountain, so we'll need to fix that in a second. But Facepocker is curious to learn more about the bombarded gardens and what has become of his lands in the centuries since the Great Pilgrimage. Too lazy to do this research himself, so he sends kobolds or enslaved mortals. Cool. Yeah, hidden. I love that Facepocker is, after all, simply retired. The man's done enough, let him chill. Yep. Oh, Golden Sajti has an interesting thought about elves and just being immortal beings. So elves likely will not want to share this information, even if they have the knowledge. So that's why it can sort of become lost. That's true. Kind of secretive, keep it to themselves. Mark says maybe there's a kind of radiation that has healing properties over a large time scale, but there's a trade-off. Oh, that's very Godzilla, the new MonsterVerse vibes, where Godzilla like kind of a nuclear bomb detonated on him, and it's like, oh, it healed him. He actually consumed all the radiation, so now he's twice as powerful. Yeah, that could be cool. Like I said though, I think I'm gonna leave. I don't want to get too sci-fi with this dragon in the Pocked Mountain, because I like this idea that the dragon here is so old. It's like a creature out of time. It's like a boomer dragon. It's like he's heard rumors of this other golden city that had been built along the northern coast of this peninsula, and that mortals had learned how to fly up into the heavens. They built their own sailing vessels, their own dragons or whatever. But now there's no sign of these people. They fell to ruin, and he's just kind of like, what? Like, that doesn't sound like the magics or the realm that I knew about when last I woke. So now I need to kind of learn more about this information, right? And Facepocker going out into these ruins of these ancient cities and discovering this lost technology would be the same thing as like your great grandma getting handed an iPad. Would just be like, what is this thing? Right? How do I? Oh, why is it? Why am I in the camera? Why is it looking at me? Who am I FaceTiming? Like, it's that sort of vibe. That makes it sound like really slapstick comedy, which is not what I would want to go for here. But I like the idea of a dragon lost in time, unfamiliar with the world it kind of wakes up into. That's cool. I don't feel like I haven't really heard that before. Yeah, Mark, civilizations rose and fell between his sleeps. Exactly. And maybe part of like, it's not, I guess going back to an idea I had previously where he goes out to collect offerings, maybe it's not that at all. Maybe if it's the sort of thing where if sacrifices are not thrown into the mountain, at least, on this specific day every year, then that's when he will wake up. But as so long as these sacrifices are made, then things are good. And so in a weird way, the lizard folk tribes that have been worshipping Facepocker have been doing the people of this peninsula and the world at large like a favor. The lizard folk don't necessarily know that the sacrifices they're making are keeping Facepocker from going out and attacking other civilizations. They just believe they're just making their god happy. That's a cool idea. Let's see, where was that idea? Mortals of this region have managed to keep Facepocker asleep by making regular sacrifices. So I might change this to like, if mortal sacrifices are not made to Facepocker regularly, then he will wake up and unleash doom upon the lands. I'll describe that cooler later. Mark says, obviously we need a dwarves resistance in the lava. Oh, we need like a dwarven resistance living in the lava tubes that keep the kobolds in check. But it's a sum zero game. Yeah, like we've got the pale spears down in the tangled ivory, which are, if we look at our map, right, just to the southeast. So those dwarves are probably still committed to the task of killing this dragon. That's their grudge, right? Dwarves hold grudges. But at this point, there's so few of the pale spears left that it's like a hopeless cause. But that doesn't mean they're going to give up on it. So all these dwarves really can do is just fight Facepocker's kobolds and his other like draconic spawn. Anytime they're sent out on a mission, the pale spears kind of hunt them down to keep Facepocker's influence from spreading. Facepocker the boomer. Magic in my time was different and stronger. Exactly. Okay. Let's get some ideas about the actual mountain itself. We have not really done much to describe it. I'm getting... I don't know if I don't think I want it to be Mount Doom vibes, where it's just this barren black mountain with sulfur pouring down of it. I feel like I still want it to be jungly. What about a black dragon? What if the rain here is acidic? That was an idea we'd sort of shared or had for like the jungle at large, that it has like acidic rains, but I'm imagining here it's like acid, like not just, I take a little bit of poison damage or acid damage from a day's travel through this jungle, but more of like goblets of acid are falling from the sky all the time and can do some serious damage. What could be a cool thing for that? Maybe we'll just go with that boring of a description for now. The rains here are so acidic they can melt through metal armor in a few short minutes. And there's like puddles of acid and small puddles and even lakes of acid have formed all around the volcano's faces. Is that the right word I'm using there? When I'm trying to describe the sides of a mountain peak or a volcano, facings? All the volcanoes' facings? How would you describe that? I don't want to just say all around the sides of the volcano. Something about the side of the volcano sounds kind of like a childish way to describe it. I feel like there's a more appropriate word for it. Golden Sajti saying maybe Facepocker is so huge he can't leave. If he were to try and ever break out, he would destroy part of the volcano. Yeah? Maybe. Yeah, maybe. But in my head, when I try to picture Facepocker, I think of this old, withered, acid-burned, decrepit black dragon. I see something really... Well, is he big and fat, or is he frail and... I don't know. You could go both ways. I don't know. I'll think about that, Sajti. Cool idea, though. Kenna said, despite the fires, the forest flourishes with unknown frontier reasons to be studied. Yeah, we definitely would need to be more specific here, but... What did Hayden say? Kind of seeing Facepocker as the terrifying old man in the classic Haunted House animated movie. Absolutely bone-chilling when irritated, but otherwise placid and frail-looking. Yeah, that's the vibe I'm trying to convey, so I'm glad it's coming across. Kyle Campu said the alope? Is that, what is alope? Gotta look that up. Alope, define. Okay, I tried searching ALOPEA, alope, Kyle, and I'm getting, did you mean alopecia? So I'm not sure what word that is, but yeah, I don't know. Okay, let's keep going. We're close here. I feel like I want there to be jungle that grows here, but if the acid rain is this acidic, where it can melt metal armor, does it make sense that there would be any? Maybe it is the one part of the jungle where there isn't. And it's just this black, pocked mountain with a bunch of acid. Like, it literally looks like the mountain has been corroding under Facepocker's breath and presence. That's probably something we need to add to the description. Entire volcano is, I use this word way too often, riddled with winding tunnels and caverns formed from ages of Facepocker's acidic breath and presence worming its way through the rock. So if the entire volcano is just literally pockmarked, and there's no plant life growing on it, but a bunch of these pockmarked things can kind of turn into acid-flooded tunnels and puddles and lakes and things like that. We've got... Probably need to talk about maybe some of Facepocker's spawn, or the kobolds that live here. Or... what do we think? Hidden asked, does he hold anything as special or sacred, or is he just enjoying his retirement? Kind of a time bomb that some factions would like to see gone. Perhaps their intentions are darker than even his. I would imagine, like, just from what we've written so far, he's got some, like, relic of the Pale Spears or this dwarven kingdom. But he's so old that he's fine to just covet it within his mountain for the rest of time. And, like, maybe some people, like you said, who want to try and use this dragon for their own nefarious purposes, they would want to wake him up or maybe they want to steal this thing that he has that is an ancient dwarven relic. But that's what I imagine he holds most sacred to him, is the stuff he brought here from the dwarven kingdom he destroyed. Noble Knight said maybe the mountains are so studded with caves that the kobolds have to actively reinforce it or it will fall apart. Or maybe the kobolds have a bunch of acid-resistant armor to better serve the dragon. Oh, interesting. That idea they've had to reinforce the mountain to keep it from crumbling. That's cool. That's really cool. How do they do it? Like, is there like a golden city that makes its way all through the mountain? Like a bunch of these tunnels have like melted down gold that are the support columns kind of holding everything up. That's kind of cool. Oh, man. I like this idea that you've pitched here, Noble Knight, that the mountain is so pockmarked it threatens to collapse. I'm struggling to think of a way that the kobolds could overcome that, though. Maybe we'll just go with this idea. The mountain is so eroded by acid that sections of it are regularly collapsing and sliding down the mountain face. But then, so either the kobolds are like reinforcing it, or it's like rebuilding itself, right? Like as it crumbles away, fresh sulfur is kind of coming up out of the top to harden and crystallize and create this big... Oh, you know what? Now I'm imagining, since it's a sulfur volcano, it's not some Mount Doom big black obsidian shard. It's like this disgusting sulfur mound of oranges and yellows and like that sort of vomity, sickly color scheme that sulfur can have to it. And so it's rebuilt itself. Yeah, okay, let's go with that. But it retches up so much fresh molten... So I don't think sulfur can be molten, but whatever. So much fresh molten sulfur that it reforms itself as quickly as it crumbles. Does that make sense? Is that idea cool? It seems cool to me, and it makes sense to me. What else we got? Mark says, maybe while Pocker was sleeping, a dragonborn took over the kobolds and is now leading them as a prophet or a priest of Facepocker. Maybe. How would Facepocker feel about that? Interesting idea. I'll think about it, Mark. Noble Knight says, maybe they used the dragon's old scales as an acid-resistant material. Or Golden says, maybe the people don't know. Just an idea for some sort of like fire herb that grows here. Yeah. It does seem weird. Well, no. It's weird that no plants grow here. I feel like in a couple different locations, we've been like, there's acid-resistant trees that grow here, or acid-proof vines. Maybe someone in a previous stream a while ago had shared this idea of some sort of earth elemental vegetation. So some sort of earth plant that just doesn't... You say that, it doesn't even make sense. An earth plant. Like a rock plant. But at that point, is Is it even a plant? Or is it just a weird rock formation that kind of looks like a plant? But like something that can grow here and kind of curl around it like vines. But it's not melted by the acid, but it's also not a plant. It's more of like an elemental magic sort of thing. I don't know. Probably need something with these kobolds. What do they live in? What have they built? Facepocker has this golden city that he sleeps within inside the mountain. The kobolds have their own... Do they have their miniature golden cities? These like sulfuric little mini spires that kind of carve into, or... trying to think of when your players go to the mountain to explore it and they encounter some kobolds, where do they encounter them and what do their lairs look like? I like this idea that they've made their own little mini golden cities to sort of mirror what Facepocker lives in. Oh, some sort of crystalline plant, Mark said. That's interesting. Or the kobolds could use bronze to imitate the golden city. I like this. I like this a lot. Kobolds use sulfur shards to construct their own golden cities around the volcano to mirror that which their dragon master lives in. It seems like a cool idea. So the way I've described it there kind of isn't doing it for me, but like if I imagine some like really tribal vibes of a kobold group, then it's like they grow these like rings of sulfur spires that like put it in a big ring, and they sort of live within this ring. It almost is like a wall of sulfur they build up, and then they've got their little huts or something on the inside. That idea of the golden ring suddenly jumping out to me. The mouth of this volcano, which yellow sulfur spills out of, and it's also has all this gold from Facepocker's city, has led to this some sort of legend about a ring of gold. Is that anything? Sounds cool. Maybe Facepocker covets like golden rings. That's like a really valuable trinket here. Yeah, maybe we could even... Maybe that's something special with the kobolds too. Sulfur shards to construct their own golden cities around the volcano. Here we can probably dump that part to mirror their dragon master's lair. Golden rings are a common trinket. I don't know. Sounds cool. Okay, over these two new messages real quick. From Kyle, he said the kobolds strategically attack areas to trick the dwarves into structurally building up areas of the mountain to help prevent collapse. Interesting, Kyle. So the kobolds bait the dwarf. Are you saying that kobolds trying to use the dwarves to rebuild the mountain for them? Interesting idea. Cold and Sajti also says kobolds use obsidian and basalt weapons. Their spells fueled by sulfur, so their fireballs are more chaotic. Also a cool idea. I just had this. I thought of the rivers of gold that flow out of Facepocker's mouth, his drool, right? Maybe those rivers flow directly through these kobold villages. And we should probably change this to kobold villages. And rivers of golden drool flow through them. That's cool. Oh, that's probably one of my favorite little details of this. Literally live near rivers of dragon drool. That's so cool. Yo, what's up, Doman? How you doing? You're jumped in at a good time. We just finished our brainstorming of the Pocked Mountain and the Weeping Mountains, which means we only have 2 areas left to brainstorm, the Bombarded Garden and the Heaven Steps. We saved the very best for last. And today's the 12th, so we're like almost halfway through the month. Wait. Yeah, we're getting there. Quite a few Sundays. I think there's like 5 Sundays this month. So plenty of time for me to keep getting the zine polished up and ready to get published at the end of the month. But we're making real good progress, so I'm happy about that. Thanks for all that. But yeah, Doman, I think we're pretty much done with our brainstorming for the day. So I'm fine to hang out with everybody here for another couple minutes, just chat about whatever you want, but probably gonna hop off soon so I can get into some other work that needs to be done today. I've got quite a bit of work I need to put into my campaigns that I'm running. Got to send out some information for the new one that's starting off or kicking off this Wednesday for Hidden and Mark, who are in the chat with us and played in that campaign. A couple other things. Doman asked, which one is the Bombarded Garden? That is the ancient. Well, it's not really ancient in the same way as like an ancient dwarven city or whatever, but an old human city that was built on the northern tip of this peninsula. It was used, or its purpose was to kind of help build heavenly vessels and materials and things for the Ark to aid in the Great Pilgrimage. And then when the Great Pilgrimage actually happened, the gods threw a bunch of hellfire down from the heavens and destroyed the city, leaving just a bunch of craters that jungles have grown up into. That's what the backstory of the Bombarded Garden is. So I cannot wait to brainstorm that one. That one's gonna be sweet. But that's not what we're doing now. Right now we're just hanging. If you got questions, anybody got any questions they want to ask me? What's going on in your guys' campaigns? How are we feeling about D&D right now in the hobby? Like, we're getting into the summer, right? We're through spring. Are people, January, February, March, April, May. We're still getting out of spring into summer proper, but like, are people's games picking up? Are you kind of having to step away from the hobby for a little bit while summer plans take you in other directions? How's that all going for everybody? Oh, Doman said, I might want to try and join one of your Sunday one-shots. I just need to wrap up our current 2-year campaign. Yeah, you should, man. Let me actually... Here, I'll real quick show that over here. Yeah, so my Sunday games right now, I've got... Let me give it a refresh. Just make sure. I figured they'd all be full when I refreshed it. No, I've got my Sunday 9 a.m. game, which has Mark, who's in the chat with us, and Kenneth, who I think is still in the chat with us. Or no, that's not Kenneth. Oh yeah, no, Kenneth, you did sign up for that one. So I've got a 9 a.m. game. That's got 2 folks signed up. Need a third if we want to actually like pick it up or kick it off and run a session. And then I've got one person in my Sunday 1 p.m. who's just been patiently waiting for other folks to join. I'm going to message them and let them know, hey, if you want to jump down to the 9 a.m., we could kick that off this next Sunday. But yeah, Doman, your first game in the Sunday ones is free. So even if you want to just hang out and play with me for one session while you're kind of wrapping up your campaign, I invite you to do it. Just come game with me. Won't cost you anything you get your one free session, right? Ooh, Doman, you just finished a mini for the final boss. Who's the final boss? Tell us more. Golden Saj T said, I'm playing an Eevee chef. An Eevee? Is that like an elf or something? Loving it a lot. So much fun. Come with new dishes on the go. That's cool. Do you use like the monsters you kill and stuff to prepare dishes? That's fun. Samael says, sadly, I've got no campaign. You had to change locations for work. That sucks. Well, hey, if you want to play a session, join my Sunday game, Samael. You can play some D&D for free with me. And then, hey, maybe you'll have so much fun you want to stick around and pay to play, as the kids are saying these days. But that's a huge bummer. What kind of group did you have? What was the campaign you were in before you had to relocate? And what do you do for work, Samael? Noble Knight asked, what's your favorite low-level baddie, like goblins, orcs, etc.? I love skeletons. You know what, here, I've got quite a few skeleton kit bashes I did, but this was a cool one. Let's see. Oh, I wanted to focus on this guy. So this is a cool skeleton guy I did with that big, oh, I'm drifting. That like horned shield and that big wicked looking like halberd spear was really cool. What other ones? I've got, oh, these are two cool ones. I like these guys. I liked this dude. Sort of like a samurai skeleton, but another demon. Oh my gosh, I drift so... I'm like looking at myself in the camera with which everything's reversed and trying to spin this mini as a total mindfuck. But I like his samurai helmet and that big morning star he's wielding. Super cool. And then I got... Oh, hold on. Don't want that to fall. This dude is super sick. This big, tall, freaky-looking skeleton guy with these extra long arms. One is holding that flesh shield, just planks of wood with somebody's face pulled over it, and then a morning star, and then he's got that big head or feather coming off of his helmet. So, yeah, I really love throwing skeletons and zombies at my players. It's a good time. Yeah, Kenneth, brother, I messaged you at the start of this. I messaged you on Discord and start playing. Go check the Discord. Golden Saj T said, oh, you're playing a Pokemon Eevee. I do use monsters for dishes. Nothing shall be wasted on my watch. Playing in a Pokemon campaign. I see lots of ads for, not ads, listings for that on Start Playing. Lots of people playing in Pokemon games. I was not a big Pokemon guy growing up. I thought they were cool. I had like Pokemon Sapphire or Emerald, like the green one. What was the green one that had the Raikou? No, that's not. What am I thinking of? I can't remember the freaking names. But all I know is after about like the second or third generation of Pokemon, I was like, these don't look like. This is not a unique complaint, right? But I was like, these all are just starting to look like robots, or like they don't look like creatures anymore. The designs they just weren't really my style. So I never got super into Pokemon. Never really watched the cartoons all that much growing up. Never played the card game. My brother and I did get Yu-Gi-Oh cards. We never played it correctly. I had no idea how to play it as a kid. We just made up our own rules. But I remember Yu-Gi-Oh cards were really sick. I liked those a lot. I watched that cartoon a little bit. I'm trying to think, like, I never got into really any card game, though. I've played a little bit of Magic. I've played, like, Commander. I've done a draft or two here, but I don't know. It's just not my vibe. I haven't found a card game that's really, like, stuck with me. And with Magic, I don't know. I wish I would have more fun with it if more players leaned into the, like, narrative flavor side of the hobby of, like, oh, my deck has, like, these really specific themes, and, like, it kind of tells a story with the way the cards are collected and the person in charge of the commander deck. But I know that most Magic is not that way, and most players don't care about that stuff. They play to win, which is fine. Just not my style. Doman said, oh, about the campaign. Oh, right, that's cool. I'll message you as soon as I have a Sunday free. The boss is a... Oh, you're... Oh, well, first, yeah. Do message me. It'd be sick to play. But the boss is a changeling wizard that obtained various different powers through the years and now wants to revive his long-dead wife. He just manipulated the players into bringing him the final pieces as he was bored and wanted to do some more emotional damage before he tries to kill them. We have the last session Sunday. Whoa, you're wrapping it all up, huh? That's exciting. A changeling wizard is... I mean, props to you. Like, that's it's a cool BBG. I don't know a lot of campaigns that would have a changeling wizard as the BBG. That's really, really cool. Usually it's like a demon or a dragon or something, but I like that. Or like if you were going to do a wizard sort of vibe, it'd be a lich. But nope, yours is a changeling wizard. That's very, very cool. Samael said, my campaign was a more grimdark version of John Carter from Mars, and I've relocated because in my hometown there's absolutely no work, so I relocated into Italy's capital of industry. Oh, I think I remember that. You mentioned you offered me a job, if I remember correctly, at one of the places you work. Yeah. Yeah, I bet. I live in Utah. I live in Utah here in the United States, which is like one of the nerdiest states in the whole country. So there's tons of game stores. Lots of people play Warhammer 40k, Magic the Gathering, D&D, are into just like this sort of nerdy stuff. So I have a hard time kind of picturing like living somewhere like Italy or like in a more, I don't know, just in a not nerdy place. It just would be, I can't even imagine how hard it must be to keep a group alive there or get people interested in the hobby. It's got to be so tough. What else we got before I bounce? Temo said, let's see. Oh, wait. Oh, you miss your techno-barbarian players who fight the tyrants of Borsum. Some to be free, others to become tyrants themselves. That's cool. John Carter of Mars. That's a good vibe. That sounds like a way fun campaign. Did you have like sci-fi tech in there, or was it like more like pulp high fantasy sort of vibes? But I'm with Doman. That saying, Samuel, that sounds fire. That does sound so sick. Oh, Doman, you want to say? I would love to see a picture of the mini. Maybe email it to me. Probably the best way to do it. There is a Church of Doom Discord that is not active at all. So, yeah, maybe just email me, reverend.father.doom@gmail.com. Oh, Kenneth, you're in Las Vegas? Is that the area you're in? Yeah, no, I'm in Las Vegas, Nevada. I'm in Salt Lake City, Utah, so not too far from Vegas. I hate Vegas. I've been there more times than I wish. It's a place where I did, like, my family's been there once or twice to go to, like, some concerts. And then, of course, I did the, like, college trip with your friends. But we went before we were even 21. Like, what are we doing here? This is so lame. Yeah, Doman, there is a Discord, but like I said, it's not active. There's not even a link to, like, join it anywhere easily accessible. And I don't really care to reactivate it because I just don't use Discord often enough. So yeah, email it to me and we can check it out on the next stream. But speaking of our next stream, I think I'm at a good place to end it today. Tons of brainstorming. Got to hang out and talk with some of y'all here at the end. I appreciate your time. Appreciate your ideas. Thank you to everybody who's been signing up for my campaigns. I got my Tuesday and Thursday game are filled now. 6 players in each. And then my Wednesday game has got 4 people in it. And that's kicking off this week. So if anybody is looking to get into a campaign and play in the Retched Tropics, the setting we've been prepping together here, which don't worry, there will still be plenty of surprises as you play in that campaign. Links for that are down in the description. Join the Patreon, where you'll be able to get the zine for the Retched Tropic when it releases at the end of the month, as well as all the stuff that I've published in the past. It's like $3 a month. You get tons and tons of cool stuff for your games. And that's it. That's it for me. I'll see you guys on Wednesday. We'll do another brainstorming stream, or maybe something different. We'll see. But we say these